A blizzard rages on the frozen, desolate landscape of Finland. Through the snow, a lone figure lies in wait. His rifle is steady, his breath silent. One shot, one kill. But this isn't just any sniper. This is Simo Häyhä. Known as the White Death, he killed over 500 soldiers in less than 3 months. In the icy depths of the Winter War, how did this man become one of the deadliest snipers in history? And how did his actions change the course of a war? From humble beginnings in the frozen Finnish countryside to becoming a living legend, Simo Häyhä's journey is one of survival, precision, and war-changing consequences. Born in 1905 in the small village of Rautjärvi, Finland, Simo was raised in a farming family. Life was hard, and survival in the harsh Finnish wilderness meant learning to live off the land. Simo, even as a child, developed a sharp eye for shooting. Hunting animals to feed his family, he became known for his deadly aim and patience. Finland's traditions of marksmanship, hunting, and outdoor survival shaped Simo's character. Little did he know, these early lessons would soon help him become the most feared sniper of the Winter War. In the late 1930s, Europe was heading toward war, and in 1939, the Soviet Union invaded Finland. The Soviet forces vastly outnumbered the Finnish soldiers, but the Finns weren't backing down. The Winter War had begun, and Finland's survival depended on its people's resilience. It was in these desperate times that Simo Häyhä would rise from a quiet farmer to one of the deadliest men in the conflict. Simo's sniper career began as soon as he joined the Finnish army. His natural skills, honed over years of hunting, would become a vital asset to Finland's defense. The terrain of Finland, covered in deep snow and dense forests, gave soldiers like Simo a tactical advantage. The Soviets, used to larger-scale, open battles, struggled to adapt to Finland's guerrilla warfare tactics. But it wasn't just the terrain that made Simo a formidable force. His rifle of choice was the Finnish M28/30, a simple, reliable weapon. Unlike most snipers, Simo didn't use a scope. Instead, he relied on the rifle's iron sights, which allowed him to remain virtually invisible to the enemy. He made the most of the natural cover the snow and trees provided, moving silently and staying hidden for hours, sometimes days. Simo Häyhä's rise to legendary status came during the brutal battles of the Winter War. In less than 3 months, he claimed over 500 confirmed kills. Every shot was precise, every movement calculated. The Soviet soldiers began to fear him, and the stories of the White Death spread throughout their ranks. His presence on the battlefield wasn't just a physical threat, it was psychological warfare. Soviet troops began to panic, unable to predict where he would strike next. This fear, coupled with his unmatched accuracy, made Simo one of the most dangerous men to ever fight in the Winter War. Simo Häyhä was not just another sniper. His tactics were unconventional but extremely effective. He preferred to remain completely still, blending with the snow-covered landscape, often waiting for hours, or even an entire day, for the right moment to take a shot. His patience and ability to endure the cold were legendary. While the Soviets struggled with freezing temperatures, Simo thrived. In the freezing wilderness of Finland, the Soviet forces, ill-prepared for such conditions, struggled to advance. Simo's sniper position wasn't just about shooting, it was about disrupting the Soviet strategy. With every shot, he picked off key soldiers, disrupted supply lines, and sowed chaos in enemy ranks. One of the most famous moments of Simo's career was during the battle at Kala. Despite being surrounded by Soviet forces, Simo managed to hold his position and continue picking off soldiers. It was here that his reputation as an invincible sniper began to grow. The Soviets feared the idea of facing him because it meant death, often without warning. Though the Finnish soldiers were vastly outnumbered, Simo Häyhä's relentless accuracy and ability to strike fear into the hearts of Soviet troops made him an invaluable asset to Finland's defense. His feats were so remarkable that even the Soviet high command had to take notice. They attempted to locate and eliminate him, But Simo's ability to remain undetected, even in the most dangerous of situations, was unmatched. As the Winter War progressed, Simo Häyhä's reputation grew stronger. The Soviet soldiers who once thought they had the upper hand began to fear one name: the White Death. This wasn't just a nickname, it was a psychological weapon that shook the Soviets to their core. Simo's skill in remaining unseen in the unforgiving Finnish snow made him a phantom on the battlefield. His accuracy, even at great distances, was unmatched, and the stories of his exploits spread quickly among enemy ranks. The most iconic chapter of his legend unfolded during the Battle of Kola in 1940. This pivotal battle was crucial for the Finnish defense, as Soviet forces were pushing hard to capture key positions. The odds were stacked heavily against the Finns, but Simo was there to tip the balance. Surrounded by Soviet troops, Simo held his position, taking shot after shot, picking off soldiers one by one. His marksmanship wasn't just about the kill sit, was about the incredible nerve to keep fighting, even when the enemy closed in. The Battle of Kola became a turning point for both Finland and for Simo. His actions inspired not just his fellow soldiers but the entire nation. His kills disrupted Soviet tactics and forced the enemy to constantly watch their backs, unable to predict where the next shot would come from. Despite being vastly outnumbered, the Finns held strong, and Simo's contributions played a key role in that. Simo didn't just target regular soldiers. He focused on officers, snipers, and other key threats that could change the course of a battle. His patience was unparalleled. He would often lie in wait for hours, even an entire day, to get the perfect shot. While the Soviets were struggling to adapt to the cold and the terrain, Simo had already mastered it. He understood how to use the snow and the forests to stay hidden and undetected, making him a near ghost on the battlefield. Simo Häyhä's impact during the Winter War cannot be overstated. He wasn't just a sniper. He became a living nightmare for the Soviet forces, and his actions altered the course of the war. As the war dragged on, the Soviet army grew more desperate to eliminate him. They deployed massive search efforts, hoping to hunt down the White Death who was disrupting their advance. But Simo, with his unmatched ability to stay hidden in the snow, was a ghost to the enemy. In 1940, during the final months of the Winter War, Simo had his most successful stretch. He achieved an astonishing 500 confirmed kills in just over 70 days, with estimates ranging higher. This made him the deadliest sniper of the war, if not the most deadly in history. Simo's method was deceptively simple but devastatingly effective. He would wait in ambush, often without moving for hours, allowing the enemy to come close, then take precise shots with his iron-sighted Mosin-Nagant M28/30 rifle. It was in this stillness that Simo's incredible mental discipline shone. He didn't just rely on his training, he relied on the raw will to endure the conditions and stay composed, no matter how long it took to line up the perfect shot. One of the most remarkable aspects of Simo's skill was his understanding of the terrain and the environment. Finland's snow-covered landscape gave him the perfect camouflage. Unlike most snipers who relied on scopes, which made them more visible, Simo used iron sights. This decision kept him concealed and prevented his position from being detected by enemy counter-snipers. He also took advantage of the terrain by using snowbanks as natural shields. In fact, Simo was so good at using the terrain that Soviet forces often found themselves shooting at snowdrifts, thinking they were targeting him. It was the combination of his patience, precision, and deep knowledge of the land that made him virtually untouchable. However, the Soviets didn't give up. They knew they had to neutralize Simo if they had any hope of breaking the Finnish defense, so they resorted to extreme measures. They attempted to overwhelm his position with heavy artillery. They deployed counter-snipers and even used dogs to track him down. Yet Simo remained elusive. He would stay hidden for hours or even a whole day, waiting for the right moment to strike. On several occasions, Soviet forces launched full-scale attacks in an attempt to flush him out. But they were always met with the same result: failure. The legend of Simo Häyhä grew not just because of his impressive kill count, but because of the psychological warfare he waged against the Soviet army. The more kills he racked up, the more nervous and paranoid the Soviet forces became. They would constantly move at night to avoid being targets, creating confusion and disarray within their ranks. Soldiers, knowing that Simo could be anywhere, started to fear the very snow around them. The psychological toll was enormous, and it was here that Simo's influence on the battlefield went beyond just the physical. His mere presence sent shockwaves through the Soviet forces, impacting their morale and making them question their strategy and leadership. Throughout this time, Simo's reputation spread far beyond the battlefield. The Soviet Union had put out massive rewards for anyone who could capture or kill the White Death, but none succeeded. His story became a symbol of Finnish resolve and the determination to defend one's homeland at all costs. The Winter War itself was a conflict where the underdog seemed destined to lose. Yet, Simo's skill and the Finnish fighting spirit gave hope to the nation and made the world take notice of their defiance against a vastly superior force. But while his battlefield reputation was growing, Simo remained an enigmatic figure. He was quiet, reserved, and never sought fame or recognition for his actions. He was motivated by duty and a deep sense of loyalty to his country and comrades. Despite the admiration he garnered from soldiers and civilians alike, Simo avoided the spotlight. He wasn't interested in the accolades or the fame that came with being one of the deadliest men in history, was only focused on winning the war for Finland. As the war dragged on, Simo's contributions became even more crucial. He didn't just work alone. He coordinated with other Finnish snipers, creating a network of sharpshooters that systematically hunted down Soviet targets. His presence allowed Finnish forces to make a significant impact on Soviet lines, particularly in their efforts to disrupt supply lines and weaken Soviet morale. The more Soviet soldiers he took out, the more Finland's resistance grew stronger. Despite his extraordinary success, Simo's war was not without its costs. The extreme conditions of the Winter War took a toll on him. On the 6th of March, 1940, after months of being pinned down in the snow, Simo's life as a sniper would be interrupted. While engaging Soviet troops, he was shot in the face by a Soviet sniper, leaving him severely wounded. The bullet hit him in the jaw and left him with a horrific injury that would end his sniper career. However, Simo was resilient. He survived the injury and eventually returned to Finland, where he was treated for his wounds. After Simo Häyhä was injured in 1940, his days as a sniper came to an end, but his contribution to the Winter War wasn't finished. Despite being severely wounded by the Soviet sniper's bullet, he survived and eventually returned to Finland after his recovery. The legend of the White Death was far from over, and his story continued to inspire Finnish soldiers and civilians alike. Simo was awarded several medals for his bravery and outstanding contributions to Finland's defense, but he remained humble, never seeking fame or recognition. He returned to civilian life, living as a farmer and largely avoiding the spotlight. The country had been through so much, and Simo's role in the defense of Finland had made him a national hero, though he never considered himself one. After the Winter War ended in 1940, Finland faced even more challenges. The Continuation War, which began in 1941, saw Finland once again fighting against the Soviet Union. Though Simo didn't return to the front lines as a sniper, he rejoined the military, continuing to serve as a soldier. He saw action in the Continuation War, but in a different role, focusing on other aspects of the military effort. His time in the field may have been over, but the lessons he imparted during the Winter War shaped Finnish tactics and strategies for years to come. Simo's legacy didn't end with the war. After his military service, he lived a peaceful life, but his story continued to captivate the world. He became a symbol of determination, courage, and skill qualities that were essential in the defense of Finland during one of the most brutal conflicts of the 20th century. His status as one of the deadliest snipers in history ensured that he would always be remembered, not just as a soldier, but as a national hero whose actions helped define Finland's resistance against Soviet aggression. Though Simo's physical wounds healed, the scars of war were more than just physical. As with many veterans, Simo carried the emotional toll of war for the rest of his life. He remained a quiet, private man, often avoiding public appearances, but his influence remained undeniable. He became a symbol of Finland's unyielding spirit in the face of overwhelming odds. Simo Häyhä lived until 2002, passing away at the age of 96. His death marked the end of an era, but his legacy continues to live on. Today, he is remembered, not only for his incredible skill as a sniper, but for his profound impact on the Winter War and the history of Finland. Simo's life and his actions during the Winter War remain a testament to the power of individual courage, resilience, and the spirit of a nation fighting to defend its home. Simo Häyhä's life after the war wasn't just about military accolades or his status as a national hero. It was about the lasting impact he had on his country and the world. Despite his extraordinary military achievements, Simo was a deeply private man who sought to live a life of humility and simplicity. He returned to his home in Finland, focusing on farming and avoiding the media's attention. For most of his life, Simo preferred to stay out of the public eye, choosing a quiet existence over fame. However, as time went on, his story continued to inspire new generations. Books, documentaries, and even movies began to recount his incredible feats in the Winter War. Simo became a symbol of the Finnish resistance, embodying the determination, courage, and selflessness of the Finnish people during the harshest days of the war. He was not only revered in Finland, but also gained international recognition as one of the deadliest snipers in history. Even though Simo never sought recognition, his legacy remained deeply embedded in Finnish culture. He became a symbol of strength and resilience, a reminder that even against overwhelming odds, the will to fight can prevail. In Finland, he was regarded as a hero, not just for his impressive kill count, but for his unwavering commitment to his country. His life also sparked discussions on the psychological effects of war. Simo, like many soldiers, carried the emotional weight of his experiences throughout his life. He rarely spoke about the war or his time as a sniper, but his legacy provided a platform for deeper conversations on the impact of war on mental health. As the world began to acknowledge the toll of war on soldiers, Simo's life provided insight into the inner struggles of those who fought in wars that seemed endless. Though Simo never had children, his legacy lives on through the countless individuals inspired by his story. Today, visitors to Finland can see monuments and memorials dedicated to Simo Häyhä, including a statue in his hometown of Rautjärvi, where he is remembered as one of the greatest soldiers in Finnish history. His grave, too, remains a point of homage for those who wish to pay their respects to a man whose actions in the Winter War made him one of the most iconic military figures of the 20th century. Simo Häyhä passed away in 2002 at the age of 96, leaving behind a legacy that continues to resonate. His story remains an enduring symbol of the power of determination, the sacrifices made in the defense of a homeland, and the quiet strength of a man who faced extraordinary challenges with unshakable resolve. As we reflect on Simo Häyhä's life, it's worth considering the extraordinary impact of a single individual on the course of history. His contributions weren't just measured by the number of kills he made, but by the ripple effect his actions had on the war, his country, and the world. His story is a reminder that heroism doesn't always come with the fanfare or recognition that many expect, but it can change the world just the same.